What's happening, YouTube? Anthony on Power Rangers Lost the Galaxy fan film with a brand new Lost the Galaxy 2014 review. So this is part 1 of my Power Rangers Lightning Collection Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossover 2-pack video series, because since there's only 3 2-packs and then Green Ranger Shredder, we're going to take a look at each and every single one of them this week. So to kick it off, I'm going to kick off with the 2-pack consisting of Donatello as the Black Ranger and Leonardo as the Blue Ranger. Now, again, as a huge Power Rangers and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan, I really dig these 2-packs because, again, when Hasbro announced this 2-pack set and, for all of the the Turtles as Power Rangers and Shredder as the evil Green Ranger, because these were basically inspired by Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossover, their first crossover by Boom Studios in the Boom Studios Power Rangers comics, which I know I haven't been keeping up with, but I have read an issue or two of the TMNT MMPR crossover comic when those comics initially came out in 2020 or 2021 during the Big V. So here I am in 2025, 5 executive years since the crossover, their very first crossover, and I mean like a proper Power Rangers Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossover, that I would ever actually own action figures of the Turtles as Power Rangers, including April as the Pink Ranger. Now, so knowing my history with the Ninja Turtles and the Power Rangers crossing over. Now, for anybody that is not a fan of Power Rangers outside of the original, for a lot of you who may not know, this is not the first time the Ninja Turtles crossed over with Power Rangers. But for us die-hard Power Ranger fans, me included, if you should know, Power Rangers in Space episodes 3 and 4 featured the crossover between the Ninja Turtles and the Rangers of Power Rangers in Space. Particularly Shell Shock, even though they showed up in the tail end of the 3rd episode of In Space Save Our Ship, with the Ninja Turtles crossing over with the In Space Rangers. And okay, let's get that big Shell Shock turtle out of the way, and just get that Shell Shock out of the room, considering episode 4 of In Space was their crossover where the Turtles and the Power Rangers crossed over. And knowing I have never been and I've said for years, even in the years since its initial airing, I have never been a fan of that crossover between the In Space Rangers and Next Mutation Ninja Turtles, because knowing Ninja Turtles and Next Mutation was terrible. And I've only watched Next Mutation for an episode or 2, and I was like, yeah, I wasn't feeling it. And so I can see why they crossed over that time. And everybody knows Next Mutation was a very infamous show amongst Turtles fans, especially the die-hard Turtle fans that were around since G1, TMNT, since 1987, and even the 1990, 91, 93 movies and stuff. And then here came Next Mutation. Saban does their Ninja Turtle show to capitalize on Power Rangers, and knowing Power Rangers' popularity was just as fleeting at the time, they did Next Mutation. And so was the Turtles' initial years of popularity was both fleeting. So who would have thought Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles would finally have a much proper crossover decades later, this time properly with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and not Power Rangers in Space? Because again, Boom Studios, knowing Boom Studios, they were more fixated on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, much like anything lately. So it made sense for them to keep going back to Mighty Morphin, because it makes sense for Mighty Morphin and TMNT crossing over the right way. And this, my friends, is how you do a proper crossover with the Ninja Turtles with the Power Rangers. Because yeah, I had to get that off my chest, people, because, I've already talked about how much I didn't like that crossover. But the Boom Studios crossover between the Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers, way better than that. Now, what you see here alongside my other 2-packs of the Turtles and Power Rangers are actually based on the Ninja Turtles when they crossed over with the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers during their very first crossover by Boom Studios back in 2020. So, or is it 2021? One of the two. And So, and it had, if the Lightning Collection had continued, and like I've said, many past Lightning Collection videos in a row so far in 2025, if Hasbro had continued the Power Rangers Lightning Collection line, we could have saw any more potential TMNT Power Ranger crossover packs and whatnot, and saw what they had going for those as well from TMNT MMPR Volume 2 and MMPR TMNT Volume 3 by Boom Studios. We again, they could have did that. But instead, we're only stuck with how the TMNT crossed over with Mighty Morphin in Volume 1 back in 2020. So, okay, enough of the commentary. So, here's the front of the package consisting of the artwork. So, when you get these Ninja Turtle crossover packs, they do come in this green box as usual, different depending on color, layered box of a Power Rangers Lightning Collection figure. So, and of course it makes sense, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are all green, so we have to go with a much brighter neon green color for these boxes, and that I like. So here's, you know, for the first box, Leonardo is the Blue Ranger on this side, Donatello is the Black Ranger on this side, so you got, you know, the renders featuring the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers logo. Then you have both the Power Rangers Lightning Collection and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles current logo on the top of the box, as with the other boxes when I go through them later. And here's the back render of Leonardo as the Blue Ranger, Donatello as the Black Ranger on this way. With with their respective weapons being based on the Power Rangers' weapons, and, you know, like Donatello having a, you know, stick version of the Power Axe by the Black Ranger, and Leonardo having dual, you know, katana swords based on the Blue Ranger's power lances. So that's awesome. So, time to kick some shell, and it's morphin time. Let's open this box. Alright, dudes and dudettes, let's take a look at Leonardo and Donatello as Rangers outside of the box. So we're going to go through some accessories and then the figures, and then I'll give my overall thoughts on this 2-pack. With these, first being the interchangeable hands, as I always start with these, because they got, you know, every single collector grade action figure I got, they got so many hands to choose from and switch out and stuff, even though it can be time consuming. So here's all the different interchangeable hands, even though they're going to be all the same, especially when I get Michelangelo and Raphael unboxed later on in the next 2 videos. But here's the hands that came from Leonardo and Donatello in their morphed ranger forms, showing their 3 turtle fingers, and also there's those. Then lightning effect pieces. We got some new lightning effect pieces, or probably, well, basically the only new one from this set is this effect piece that actually, from what you saw from the render, goes on the axe end of the Black Ranger's power axe. Kind of a bit like this, I think. I wish that we had this lightning effect piece when we had all the different Mighty Morphin Black Ranger releases over the last few years of the Lightning Collection's lifespan. I know this is not my best effort, but this is like that lightning effect piece that would go from the blade of the axe. So you have that lightning effect piece, and then this lightning effect piece that goes to Leonardo's Triceratops katana swords for when he's the Blue Ranger. So that's neat that the Ninja Turtles got some lightning effect pieces. I wonder if we ever had something like this for like collector grade TMNT figures, and to get some lightning effects coming from their respective weapons when they're fighting Shredder or any of the other turtle villains that I know from TMNT, like Krang and Bebop and Rocksteady. The Power Axe has this matte finish, especially on the Black Ranger's Power Axe. And nothing's really much different. We know for a fact that when you get a regular Mighty Morphin Black Ranger, Zack or Adam, the power axe for the Black Ranger is usually gloss finish, but they chose to go for a more matte finish, trying to make it seem more cartoony or comic book like in terms of the shading and the coloring on the weapons. So that's something that they did here too, and you can get a glimpse of the Mastodon power coin on the axe front and back. So yeah, this is a really neat thing, you know, neat feat for this. And then also, let's take Donatello's little bow staff out. Here's the power axe on Donatello's stick. So, you know, I mean, staff stick, you know what I mean, because he always has the stick. Well, when knowing the Ninja Turtles, Raphael has those rapiers, has those knives, Michelangelo with the nunchucks, Leonardo with the katana swords, and then you got Donatello with the bow staff. So yeah, and here's the power axe extended as the bow. Man, it would be cool if Zack or Adam had this, but again, keep this as a TMNT exclusive. And then let's look at Leonardo's swords. Take them out of the hands. And then on Leonardo's swords, you can get a good glimpse of the Triceratops logos, the Triceratops symbols on both very well, because these are katana sword versions of Billy's power lances. And I really liked how they did this too, because it's very vibrant and bright. And I do like the gold on the coins on the swords. Then we need to talk about the respective heads for Leonardo and Donatello from this pack. So what you're looking at here would be probably the comic book accurate versions of the Turtles from when they were crossing over by Boom Studios and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Volume 1. And I'm not quite sure, given the more cartoony look of the Turtles, you know, they're not based on the versions of them from the 2012 Turtles cartoon, but it almost looked close, especially like looking at that angry face from Donatello and how he looks too. And even with the over the head bandana again. And I was just talking about Next Mutation Ninja Turtles, where you have, you know, sometimes you're going to have versions of the Turtles where you're going to have that bandana over the eyes look. And just like and covering their upper bald heads, because like you're trying to give me, you know, I was just talking about Next Mutation and realizing you're giving me that vibe already. And I think they also had the Turtles, one of them looking like that in the comic, but I think it's like only Donatello that had this over his head, while Leonardo, Michelangelo, and Raphael look exactly classic as they are with the colored eye band, you know, ninja eye bands over their faces and not on top of their heads like Leonardo does. But Donatello is the only one that has the over the head ninja headband. So, and as much as I do want to put their heads on here and take the Ranger helmets off, but knowing these figures are going to be a little bit hard to articulate and also switch certain features out. So the first to take a look at for figure wise is Leonardo as the Blue Ranger. Now Leonardo, and since he is, since he always had blue, makes sense. Make him the Blue Ranger. What did you think? Leonardo was going to be the Red Ranger? Because, knowing most Ranger teams and Power Rangers, the Red Ranger is usually the leader. But in TMNT, Leonardo is blue, so it makes sense. Make him the Blue Ranger, and blue being the leader this time around. So I do like the vibrance of blue on Leonardo as the Blue Ranger, and I also noticed that the Ninja Turtles have the gold armbands around their suits, similar to like Tommy as the original Green Ranger. I like it. I really think they really had to add that little detail, knowing that the Turtles are ninjas and they gotta have something gold around their arms and stuff to make them more battle ready and stuff. And I do like the shimmer of gold on the shells, and the shells are also made of hard plastic, so it makes sense. Hard as a rock, because turtle shells are supposed to be hard. Makes sense. And then also the gold on the chest. So, and actually this is the perfect shade of gold on the chest too. Where was that on some Lightning Collection figures? You can get a good glimpse of the Power Morpher, and I think on the Morphers, unlike the main Mighty Morphin Power Ranger figures in the Lightning Collection, you can get a good glimpse of the Power Morphers on the Turtles than you do on the Power Rangers themselves, sad enough. And then also the diamond shape on, over the stash, the ninja stash of the outfit. So, to harken back to MMPR, because Mighty Morphin has the diamonds on him, so it makes sense. And you have to go straight with that aesthetic as well. And people thought, the Ninja Turtles as Power Rangers would be a very feverish dream idea. But it worked. Even with the benefit of the doubt that it worked. And then looking at the helmet, like Triceratops helmet, you can get a good glimpse of how the eyes look. And just looking at that Triceratops helmet, it can look a little bit like Ethan from Dino Thunder with his Tricera Blue Ranger helmet from, that. And actually, this is like the same shade of blue as a few Blue Rangers I have in the Lightning Collection. Mostly Dino Thunder blue for Leonardo's Blue Ranger form. But it's the same shade of blue as that. And even when I get Dino Charge blue and then a few other Blue Rangers I still have yet to get in the collection later. So now let's take a look at Leonardo's articulation, and then we move on to Donatello, and then we're finished. So head turns all the way around. Elbow crunch. Now here's something I need to point out with the elbow crunching on the turtle figures. Now, unlike the Power Rangers, the Turtles, since their bodies are more bulkier than they are, The elbow crunches and knee crunches are not going to be all that substantial, so you're going to only can do a few, you know, you can only do as much as you can on the elbow crunches on both these arms individually, because the biceps and triceps are thicker on the turtles, so you're not going to do much. Yeah, you can do hand articulation, move the arms around, so that's good enough on that for me. And yeah, and also the shell backpack. I also noticed, like, for later Lightning Collection figures, I noticed that the legs are starting to get a little lanky, so I think starting with this point they started making them like this, and, you know, lifting the leg joints up and down and stuff. I didn't notice that in most of my more recent figures. You can turn the legs around good, well, on Leonardo, and then the knee crunch is good on Leonardo. So yeah, so his knee joints and elbow, you know, his knee joints is superb on that, and leg joints. And then his ankle pivot, so his ankle pivots are good, so no toe flip articulation. And then you also got ankle pivot on Leonardo, so let's put his katana swords back in his hand, and you have Leonardo in his, you know, swords in hand, ready for battle in ranger form. You can also put the swords in the whole of the, you know, the back as well, you know, to keep them for safekeeping, like any honorary ninja would do. So let's pose Leonardo, you know, statically, so I can move on to Donatello. And I know that based on this background, they're not going to stand very well, so I just gotta be precautious on that too. I'm trying to keep you, oh, I'll just put you back here because this background's not good on these figures. Now, Donatello, so his Black Ranger figure. I like his replicate, you know, way how his Mastodon helmet looks, and plus there's no silver on the nostrils of the Mastodon like you would for the usual Black Ranger, but okay. The eyes on the Mastodon helmet, well, for like the red eyes to see, you know, Donatello is a little darker. Maybe it's probably from my camera. So here's his helmet and how it looks. And then, like, as I already pointed out about Donatello, you know, Leonardo, that the turtles, their figures are basically, well, yeah, they're supposed to harken back to the Mighty Morphin Power, you know, to the Mighty Morphin team, but when, especially with how they put more, you know, size detail on the morphers, and actually made them, you know, with the perfect balance of gold with these suits, because again, I've always wondered how I would have imagined the turtles as Power Rangers, because again, I haven't been, you know, I know I'm a terrible Power Rangers fan right now, but I haven't been reading Boom Studios' comic stuff lately, but I know for a fact they have crossed over with the Power Rangers and they did this stuff, and I've seen comic book panels of the turtles as Rangers, and April is the Pink Ranger. And here's Donatello with the his Power Axe stick thing on the back, and you can also have the regular Power Axe in hand, but I don't know if it can fit, or you can have it as like a gun. But actually, knowing Donatello is more of a bow staff guy, we'll just put the, you know, staff in hand, but I'll do that later. But now let's take a look at articulation. So his head moves very well, so, and also his stash is on the left side, while no, right side, while Donatello, while Michael, God, I'm getting these turtles is mixed up, damn. The stash is like on left and right. Let's say Leonardo's stash is on the left side, while Donatello's stash is on the right side. So there's that difference. So you can, okay, for the articulation back again, so the arm movement and stuff. So you got the elbow crunch. Now I think on Donatello you can get more elbow crunching on his arms than you do Leonardo. I don't know why on my Leonardo it didn't work. I don't know. So you got elbow crunches on, you know, well, you can further the elbow crunch on his left arm, but not much on the right. I don't know why, but it's supposed to. I don't know. But okay, let's put the arms down. His legs, no, his legs are not loose, but you can feel some link in his figure a little bit too. Now, I had some problems with the knee crunch on the left leg, but the right leg you can get some knee crunching, but not so much on the left. The left, I was, you know, even when I took him out of the box, I'm scared that the left leg is going to break. No, because I got to be careful, because I was going to get a little pissed off and angry if I broke the leg and broke the knee. So, yeah, but the problem with my Donatello, he has a little stiff, and that's not good on the left leg. But yet, you can bend the knee very well on the right, but you just can't bend so well on the left, sadly, which, yeah, I don't know why. Ankle pivot is, you know, like on Leonardo. The ankle pivots on Donatello's Black Ranger form is good, so all is dandy. Now let's put Donatello in battle stance with his weapon, and then we are good to go. And so here we are with, you know, 2 of 4 Turtles as Power Rangers ready for battle, and especially wait until I get Shredder as the Green Ranger, because I know whenever I do get my hands on Shredder as the Green Ranger, these Turtles are going to be waiting for him. So, with that all being said, yeah, Leonardo, you just don't want to stand right on this background, do you? If I had figure stands for some of these figures, they would stand a bit okay, and just put them like that. So that's part 1 of my, whoa, that was unexpected. That was unexpected to see, because again, Leonardo is not standing very well, but Donatello can stand, but just not Leo. I don't know why Leo can't stand well. What's going on with that? I know, maybe I think I've started to take notice as I continue to record the video, is that his feet joints are not keeping him steady on this background or something. I don't know. Or if I put him on a table or something, he'll stand right, but just not on this background. Like, what is up with you? Why are you so slippery and won't stand? I just don't understand. So that's like I'm saying, so that's part 1 of my Ninja Turtles Power Ranger crossover 2-packs to cover, and I got the next 2 on the way, and I already have them right with me as of this recording. So in my final thoughts, I like this 2-pack of the figures, but if there's one I actually like, you know, posing and playing with more, would have to be Donatello as the Black Ranger. Leo, I like you, but the problem is you're just not standing very well. But then look at Donatello, he's standing just right, and he plays very well better. But even though his figure's only flaw that I point out is that bad knee joint to do, you know, the knee crunching on that one. So that's it. So tune in until I do the next 2 of the Turtles PR crossover 2-packs from the Lightning Collection. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe, drop a like, share this video with your friends, and I'll see you guys next time with a brand new review.